minus 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Launch Sequence podcast for another good week. And oh boy, what a week it is. 4.7 has gone live. 4.8's first details have been revealed. The Aurora Mark II has come to the game. Players are crafting. It's weird. There's like actual game stuff going on. So I brought on Hav0k, who just recently put out a video talking about kind of how the game's shifting more towards an MMO. And that goes everywhere from the instancing to the dungeons that they're doing to crafting coming into the game. Thought we could have a good talk about that, the different shifts the game is making, and how that's leading us towards 4.8 and the future of crafting as well. So, dude, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good, man. I've a little tired. It has been a week. But excited. I gotta say, outside of just Star Citizen stuff, we also just got gameplay in this last week for the Osiris Reborn, the Expanse game. I don't know if you're following that.
I am. I'm following very closely. I can't say anything about it, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
It's looking very good, yeah. And then we also got gameplay from Exodus, which is kind of in the same vein, like a sci-fi RPG. I don't know if are you looking at that one as well?
Yeah, absolutely. For anything by former Mass Effect creators, I am absolutely. I have a keen interest on seeing how that goes, and definitely get my hands on it at some point for sure.
They have a pedigree, don't they? It's kind of crazy.
Really,
it's crazy how much that name is invoked now. Maybe it's by me, by so much. I know a lot. No, a lot of people. Not. Yeah, a lot of people use that comparison, and even the devs over at Owlcat have said like that's some of their inspiration. But it's outside of my obsession with saying that. It's crazy just how common that has become, like a term of prestige. Mass Effect like.
Yep.
And
it's just because it was so. I would say it's in a lot of ways different, like beyond its time, and just how you have so much ability to choose different things. And like when I played a Mass Effect 1 back in the day, that was just like it hadn't been fully voiced ever. Like it was just, you normally don't have a character voice, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was always you click some text. The text would be basically, said to the person, and they would respond to you and whatever their reaction was. Yeah, that was like a shifting moment, huh? Did you play a lot of RPGs growing up? Was that like your main kind of game?
I would say that I largely came from early on in the 90s, came from those really early flight sims to Wing Commander. But I would say that primarily World of Warcraft in my younger teenage years to early adulthood. So Mass Effect was kind of one of those first times where I really played an RPG.
I see. Did you stick to them after that? Is that why you're still looking at this like Expanse? Have you been consistently playing them since then?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like anytime I see a game that has great mechanics like Mass Effect does, I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Okay. So what would you say is like the game with the best written characters and dialogue that you've played?
I keep going back to Mass Effect as far as amazing characters. Like they had such well-written characters, and you actually ended up caring about the characters. And from what little I've seen with The Expanse, I think that's going to be pretty close.
Are you more leaning in that direction with The Expanse than with Exodus?
I would say so. I think the Expanse universe is probably my top tier universe I would want to be in.
Yeah, it's been around. Like we're invested in that one at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm going to come back to that because characters are what's kind of starting to become more important with Star Citizen as we actually care about what's going on and the stories being told, mission givers and that kind of stuff. I think that'll come back up. But first, let's talk about what's going on right now, because it's man, I'm having fun with 4.7. Are you enjoying the new additions? Is it kind of a drag? Has the performance been there for you?
I haven't had any issues with performance. So far, it's been pretty solid, and I have been witnessing probably the most active, I guess, org community where people are always on, and there's massive groups that are getting into a giant group, and they're
Yeah.
all doing missions, and they're all sharing the missions, and people are like, we have to get all of the blueprints right now, like yesterday. But yeah, they're all going crazy. And I honestly, it's probably the first time that I've been in the mindset to be like, I really want to play, like really badly want to play right now. So this is kind of a first in a while as far as wanting to play Star Citizen a lot.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had FOMO with Star Citizen. I think
Yeah.
I have I got so much fun from covering the development because you didn't have to play the game to enjoy what was being built, right? It was so easy to watch it and kind of jump in for a couple weeks and try it. A lot of people, I think, would jump into Star Citizen at the beginning of the update, try out the new things, get a good feel for it, and then back off and just kind of watch what's coming in the next update till that drops. That was so easy to do, but this feels like the first time I've ever been like, oh, that's not going to be a thing anymore. Like wanting to get those blueprints and wanting to get better stats is they've got a little of that addiction, a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think crafting as it is currently is close to where I'd like it, but better than any other crafting system that I've seen, aside from Star Wars Galaxies, which is obviously the gold standard, I would say, for any game to reach towards.
Yeah, that one comes up a lot. That one,
Yeah.
I think that one has come up in every podcast episode in the last month now.
Sounds
But
about right.
it is definitely even people, even yesterday I was crafting and somebody's like, yeah, this reminds me of Star Wars Galaxies, which is, I mean, that's great. I've heard about it. I don't know what made it special other than what people have told me, but the what has brought crafting to the forefront for me is just how much it emphasizes the importance of each and every little step of the process. Transporting the stuff, finding the stuff, extracting the stuff, actually having the blueprint to craft the stuff. All of those, you need somebody who either specializes in it or you have to do a lot of work. It took me freaking 27 hours, man, to
Yeah.
to like unlock a blueprint, get the materials for said blueprint, and then finally craft the thing. It was, yeah. So it's not like a jump in and do something real quick. It feels like it's introducing a new way for the game to operate a little bit.
Yeah. Something that you can actively work towards. I would say probably for the first time ever, that really is interesting enough that you want to hop on and just farm the crap out of and really work towards, something that you can't get anywhere else.
Hmm. Yeah. So we like it, clearly, folks,
Yeah.
but it's not perfect. Where are some early places you see there's some clear improvements they can make here?
Obviously, I think the biggest one is that basically the amount of material you find, you can't combine them all. So I think obviously that's a big problem where you have a 797 and a 798, but you can't stack them. So now you have this giant mess in your inventory is one
Yeah.
of them. Um, but I would say that it's really hard to find those areas that have like the high quality. You'll be farming that stuff for probably for quite a while to get the highest quality that you want to get,
Yeah.
be able to craft something. But
What are you finding out there? Like what levels of quality are you
uh,
finding in the different areas?
I think in Pyro, I've normally been finding something like at the highest 570 or sorry 757. I think that's the highest I found so far. Aside from earlier on in the PTU, I found like 923.
Dang, that's pretty good.
Yeah, wasn't bad. But I think that the biggest thing that I think is missing is not being able to, like earlier on in the PTU they had where you could find blueprints on data pads, and then they took it out. So not having access to all the blueprints for armor and weapons is kind of, I would say, limiting.
Mhm.
But that's my biggest complaint because I have a few choice pieces of armor that I would rather have over the other ones that they gave us.
Yeah. We like our org armor, for instance, is red Morozov. That's like a key component of it. You can get the other colored Morozov, but we want the red one. You can't really
Right.
you can't choose specifically what you want just yet. But yeah, the resource gathering is like, this feels like a mining update because it's such a big change to mining. But at the same time, the biggest holdup, it feels like, is in the resource gathering from my perspective. Like you said, man, finding the quality that you want. It doesn't even, for starters, the journal has a mining guide that doesn't tell you where the stuff is. Either it's out of date, I don't know, but like, why is it still there? It disagrees with the star map, which also doesn't tell you where everything is.
Yep.
Like, I
Also,
was, it tells you have to go to the moons of, or well, there are different places in Pyro that have Genolite, right? Which is a valuable gem that you need for some of the guns, specifically the Fresnel I'm making. And
yeah.
so I go to the moon to find it, and I can't find any of this dang stuff. And I go and I return to Stanton, where all the low quality crap is supposed to be. Yeah, it's not dangerous. Don't go here. My friend found like 900 plus quality Genolite on the surface of Microtech. It's not even on the map. So that's been annoying, and it does feel like kind of the quality spread is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
The other thing that bugs me is you can't scan for that stuff with like scout ships. It has to be a mining ship that goes out there because you can't read the quality otherwise unless you're in mining mode. I
Yeah,
got gripes, man.
I was thinking about that too, not too long ago, and I was thinking about how useful it would be to have like, for example, you could have like a combat ship just running around as as a scout, as a secondary escort if need be, if you really want to.
Hmm.
And if they gave us the ability to switch out the radar so we can prioritize finding different types of qualities of minerals and whatnot, that would be really useful.
Yeah, yeah, and you could just it's not even that you have a combat ship, but you have like the resource scanning radar in the combat ship that makes it a little more capable of that.
Yeah. In ADI, we call that a bird dog. So basically something that hunts down things that we're looking for. And that's primarily what we use smaller ships for when they, like a prospector, for example, we use that as a bird dog. But it's useful. That way the mole can do more of the mining work.
Bird dog.
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the different parts of 4.7. Crafting is really exciting, but it is not the only part of the update for sure. And this is an update that has multiple things in it that show us kind of the future of the game. So let's move on to the breaker stations. These are new dungeons. Originally, they were looking kind of like Hathor V2, but they do play a little bit differently. How do you view the breaker stations? What do they represent to you in terms of like what player they're made for?
I definitely think they're more trying to cater to the group style of gameplay, like the dungeon oriented style of like getting a group of 5 to 6 people together in a group and really just working towards mining something of high value. And I think they'd be a great location overall. I think that there's way too many of them, just like there is Onyx, but there's reasons for that we can get into later. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, I really think that they're awesome locations. They're huge. They've got a lot to them, and you can almost get lost into them. I think that the puzzle style of gameplay where you can basically get all the capacitors, slot them in, power on the station, go to all the refactor consoles and enter the codes and fire all 3 of the, or rather all three of the refactors after you get the lenses and catalysts and whatnot, and that's really cool. I think that's amazing.
Would you? They call it a mining event, activity,
Yeah,
whatever. Even in the Moby-Glass, once you get the enough rep for it, it's in the mining event like thing. Would you call this a mining mission?
I would call it kind of like a mix of FPS combat meets mining for sure. Um, the end result, I guess, is mining, but it's more so
Right.
kind of a FPS combat dungeon that turns into mining afterwards.
Yeah. I wonder how they adequately communicate that. Like if you just had a group of 5 people that have never played Star Citizen and you dropped them into the game and you gave them like a list of contracts, how can you communicate which one they are meant to take for like the gameplay they're looking for? Because I feel like if you looked at the description for Rockcracker, the Rockbreaker stations, I don't know if you would realize it is like a labyrinth of FPS exploration and like logistics and moving things around and then fighting people off. And then you get to get outside and do the mining. Does it feel like the mining and the minerals you get afterward are the real reward? Or is it like the fun of the dungeon?
I'd say it's the fun of the dungeon. I don't think, at least for the exclusive, because I've only played the exclusive version of it.
Mm-hmm.
The rewards that you get at the end, they're okay, but I wouldn't say like I really want to go there to mine more. I would just say like Ceruleum is really important for sure. But when
Okay.
you're finding like 580 something Ceruleum, I'd say it's just like I spent an hour here and well, I could have probably found something
Yeah.
higher quality somewhere else.
And that's what I was talking about earlier with the quality spread. Like the risk of going to certain places needs to be more rewarding for the stuff that you get. I think I was seeing that people were just finding like like 500 something level quality torite inside of this asteroid after all of this stuff. It's kind of like going into Hathor 5 times and never getting any pure Karenite. At some point you just kind of you don't feel like it's worth it anymore.
Yeah. And that could be maybe a product of the fact that they made the I guess the default quality be 500 to where any of your stats that are at 500 you just get the base level weapon or armor. So
Yeah.
had they made that 200, we might be looking for 500 or 600 quality. That might have
Mm-hmm.
been better. But
Yeah.
I really do think it's just a product of the fact that they made the quality basically the middle of the road.
You think they should change that?
I would say that's worth discussing or at least seeing. Don't get me wrong, I think that like negative quality or negative stats because you don't get high enough quality is pretty cool idea, but I don't know. That might
How
be 500 might be a little too high.
I mean, yeah, how often is anybody going to use a material that gives negative stats?
I would say almost never.
So is it
You'd have to be desperate.
is it worth it to have? I mean, I know for a fact there are people who are typing into their keyboard how many different reasons there are to have low level qualities. Base building for sure. You want to build a gigantic pad of cement to put all your buildings on. You need a lot of cement to do that. That's going to take materials. I get that, but does that justify having a like the baseline be anything higher than say 100 out of 1,000? Why 200 out of 1,000? Like what is
Yeah.
the logic for putting it anywhere? Why not 0?
That's fair. That's a good question. I mean, what would be the point of having anything that had negative stats, I guess, aside from like maybe being a Hellraiser and just being like, all right, I'm going to make this crappy quality. I'm going to stick this in a box and someone's going to find it and use it.
Yeah,
Ah, that's it.
It's always a question of supply and demand, right? So I
Yeah.
guess if, unless you can buy 500 level quality materials, in Star Citizen 1.0 from a store, it might never be worth it to use lower levels, but it's cheaper. It'll always be cheaper. So maybe that's the driving force.
That's possible. Yeah.
Um, Going back to the breaker stations though, you said that you've only done the exclusive version of these dungeons. Do you think there's even a reason in having the public one now that you've run through it? Like, is this going to be something that people can possibly do while there's other folks trying to get in there?
I think so. The rumors that I've heard is the shared missions have significantly higher quality when you mine. I haven't tested that, so I don't really know. But if that's the case, that's what would make it worthwhile.
Okay. Makes sense. There's the higher risk I was looking for.
Yep. That would be my question. I don't know how CIG intend it, but if the shared mission does give higher quality, then that'd be pretty solid, I would say.
Cool. How about instancing? That's something that's probably coming a little bit later in the year, but it is a heavy topic on a lot of people's minds. Do you have a personal opinion on instancing being used in Star Citizen?
I would say that I am very much looking forward to instancing as long as CIG don't make it the primary thing that they use for everything. Because we need our sandbox and we need, I guess, theme park oriented style of gameplay. We need a mix of both because sandbox will give us that emergent gameplay that we could prep for everything, but one group of players can completely change that dynamic. Instancing is more structured. You don't have that other player aspect to worry about.
Yeah, that's that's very fair. Um, Also, I think a very healthy take on it. It's luckily it can be a little nuanced. I agree. Having a mix of both makes a lot of sense, and especially like sometimes when you're running through Onyx or something, and I love a open world as much as anybody else. But when that story is playing out, it can really suck to have that interrupted.
Yeah. And also like having instancing too would allow the performance of that instance to do significantly better, at least to offload it from the regular servers that everyone else is connected to. That's a big plus. It also, if more people are engaging with all those instance content, then it takes more load off of the main gameplay universe,
Hmm.
essentially. So I think that that would be really, really worthwhile to have as long as it's balanced and used well. But for all of these instances and whatnot, they could have the exclusive contract being instanced just as a group, and they could have the shared contract as a open instance that has a player cap. And I think that would work really well for that specifically.
Hmm. What I'm really interested in when it comes to instancing is, I guess, something that's actually really important to MMOs, the social spaces. I know that Chris Roberts is known for his love of like a bartender in the game giving you a mission or giving you information. And we have some mission givers spread throughout the game already. We know they're bringing them back this year. And I am wondering,
Yeah.
are you going to try and instance like the bar at Microtech, the big bar, the club that has a bartender who's supposed to be a mission giver? And I wonder to myself, are you guys going to instance that whole club so that everybody can go to this mission giver? Or are we still going to have the combined social spaces?
I would bet that they really want to keep the social spaces combined as much as possible because that just gives players a more general perspective of what the game would look like in an environment that isn't instanced.
Hmm.
So there is performance to talk about in that aspect, but I guess it all depends on when we see dynamic server meshing and
Yeah.
how that performs, if it's better than what we are experiencing now.
Yeah, maybe they'll just move mission givers to different areas so that they can keep those spaces combined, because that is what I was thinking they would do. But the closer we get to the idea of mission givers, and the more I look at the way that these MMOs are laid out, the more I realize it's going to suck if people can't just walk up to somebody and get a mission. I think there are a
Yeah.
couple games that do it that way, and I've heard plenty of complaints.
Yeah, I think I'm very much looking forward to having more localized missions so we can have mission givers back and so that we can have more of a reason to be in one location for a longer period of time than just have to go from point A to point B to point A to point B, back and forth everywhere. Like if we want to play for a couple of hours only, we're traveling about 25% of it,
Yeah.
if
We
not
need
more.
we need a lot more gameplay in local spaces.
Yeah.
Speaking of local spaces gameplay, for a spaceship game, we've been looking at a lot of FPS stuff lately. I was just listening to the recent Star Citizen Live, the one they did with who was in that one?
Was it Zach Brees?
Yeah, Zach was there. A couple of the guys were there, and they talked about a lot of stuff that was really interesting when it came to FPS gameplay, character customization, and just kind of like even level design. They were talking about how much they were growing in terms of level design and able to create more interesting environments. And I realized like a lot of people who signed up for the spaceship game might be wondering why it's looking so FPS flavored. Do you think that they're leaning too hard that direction, or do you think there's a good balance? Why do you think it's so prominent in a space sim?
I'd say that they're probably leaning on FPS hard right now because of them needing more in the spaceship combat or just flying realm, if you know what I mean. So I've been wondering that really a lot lately, but my guess would be FPS content is a little bit easier for them to implement. But they also have, they have the new flight model rework, they have quantum boost, and they have flight control surfaces that they all need to get into in a game so that we can use them a lot more. But I think tactical strike groups probably is the number one thing that might start bringing more emphasis on flying than all of these other, FPS updates that we've been getting.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very close. Like that's looking like 4.8, maybe, right?
If they are, if they've talked about it, I guess
Yeah,
the wording
according to them.
around Jared's wording of it was really vague, I think on purpose, because they're like, we want to, but we're not going to say that we want to, because then you guys would pull us into the streets and kick us until we release it. But I do think they want to, and I think it's just a matter of like not wanting to commit to giving us all the answer.
Yeah, and I do think that for those who are hoping for a Planet Tech V5 release in 4.8, it will not happen if they do that. Like they're gonna do one or the other. They cannot because Planet Tech V5 is going to come with Starkitect. It's going to come with a new faction that's supposedly creating outposts around the system that we go to war with. So like they have to focus on one thing per update. Which one do you think it would be in May?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I think out of all of them, it'd more likely be some portion of the social tools than anything else.
Well, they
I
better
would
have that
not
for the tactical strike
expect.
groups.
I would hope, but
Oh
it's
man.
CIG, so I think they're trying their best in a lot of ways, but I think that we definitely have moments where it's like, well, let's not release it, whatever the reason is. But I don't expect to see any amount of 4.0 or Planet Tech V5, essentially. I don't expect that.
Okay.
I think it's going to be much later in the year.
We will see. Something else that they were talking about though around there was Starware. And that's also something like there's just dude, it's hard to talk about all the different things that that are going on because it's like, well, these have to come in at some point. Starware
Yeah,
is pretty crazy, dude. Are you actually can you give for the people who are listening, can you give like an understanding of what you see Starware as?
I see Starware as a way to basically make our character look the way we want, but also giving emphasis on playing a specific role. So it's no longer about what do I look good in and what gives me the most protection or whatever. It's going to be more about basically if I want to be a bounty hunter, I want to wear bounty hunter specific armor. If I want to just be a combat pilot, then I am probably not going to be running around in armor. I think that there's a lot more purpose and thought process that will go into basically playing. Like, what do I want to do today and what should I wear?
Is this a novel way of doing the kind of building roles and characters in game, in your opinion?
I would say it's better than us going full MMO, honestly. I would say that I would rather see different armors have different roles than to have like structured classes, I suppose,
Like
like normal
skill
MMO would have.
points and stuff?
Yeah, I think there's a way that they can make that or take advantage of that, but as long as it's not too much that like you're getting bonuses to things that are crazy. I don't really have a good comparison for it, but I think that there is a way that they can make it balanced to where people would wear one thing over another.
Hmm. I do certainly think it says something to take the progression of your character away from the skill points and like the ability to just spam an activity and do stuff over and over to level up, and moving it more into you have to do this kind of gameplay to unlock these things, and
Yeah.
you kind of have to know what you want out of that gameplay to know what it is you want to unlock. It emphasizes, I think, more knowledge of the game, which is really nice.
Yeah, and they've loosely talked about that, how like your character can get better as you do it more. And I think that's a good way to do it too, rather than have like a structured like you have to reach, 200 out of 500 points to get to the next level or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's solid.
Their skill points thing, the thing that they do talk about when it comes to character skills is a little, I think there's a very
Vague.
good reason, yeah, that they have not talked. They basically said it once, I think twice now, and they don't talk about it outside of that because I think they realize that that could be a easy flashpoint for a lot of people.
Yeah, it definitely good because you got the hi, I've been here for 13 years, and you've got the guys who've just been here for a couple of years, and like, oh, it's going to be an MMO, and all the guys that have been here for 13, 14 years are all like, well, it was supposed to be a space MMO or a space sim, not an MMO.
Oh, you just opened up a debate in the comments, man.
Yes, I did.
What is going to be your go-to? Like, Starware is offering everything from flight suits that mitigate G-forces to exploration suits that allow you to scan all kinds of stuff to mining suits that give you resource information from a distance. What's going to be like your character build out? Or I guess you have multiple suits of stuff. Like, but what do
Yeah.
you want to focus on?
Most of what I want to focus on right now really isn't in game. There is no valuable exploration gameplay, and that's really what I'm probably more passionate about than anything.
Okay.
Uh, as the game stands right now, FPS, because it's probably in a better state than basically combat piloting. Because Master Modes, for all its goods and bads, has just been, it doesn't have depth that you want. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have for the new flight model. I think flight control surfaces are probably my most sought after, but those things are, who knows how far they are away.
That is, yeah, that's true. I'm with you though on the exploration side of things. I definitely want to. One of the things they said about the exploration variant was like you'd be able to scan a lot of the stuff other people could, so you could identify minerals. You get a crosshair, so you can shoot weapons with better aim. You get EVA thrusters, but it's all kind of the minimum spec of those things. But I think that's perfect because then you can have specialist suits that you keep in your ship for the other stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited for just how few armor sets are armor types we've seen outside of combat and what that means we're going to get to see as we move on from here, because it's not a combat game.
Yeah.
How about we talk about well, I have one more question actually that has to do with FPS. Do you think that
Okay.
this is going to be the kind of game that somebody can actually go and play if they don't fly spaceships?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As long as there are those supporting structures, which I think that we were probably going to end up talking about a little bit later. But um, having for going back to the original comment, the local missions, for example, that would give more people a reason to just sit around on the ground and do a whole bunch of missions without having to go and open up your mobi-glass over and over or go to different locations. Because the biggest culprit of that in my mind that sticks out is Onyx facilities and how much I want to go there. And I want to go there and take one mission and then the next one and then the next one, but just
Yeah.
stay there. And it requires us to leave every single time, which is a bit annoying. It's a bit
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, you kind of want to
So
just
that's what ticks
land.
me.
Yeah, you want to just land in a town and like just hang out and run little contracts and stuff. Do you think they keep talking about trying to do that? Do you think they're going to get there anytime soon?
I would say, based on what they have coming for 4.8 with I guess the AI uh, refuel contracts and whatnot, that they're working that direction. Because I think I could see, you know, I'm player Joe and I am flying my cutter and I run out of fuel and crash land on a planet. Now I have to, how am I going to have to get out of here? Either I'm going to need to pay an AI to transport me back, or I go to the nearby settlement that I crashed nearby and start working for them, make enough money, and then leave, and then get my ship back by claiming it through the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be really useful to have, but yeah, that's something that may be months away, maybe years away. Who knows?
That's such a fantasy. I think so many people want that feeling of you have to work your way off of a planet after crashing there, but it seems
Yeah.
hard to create in a believable world. Have you heard what Aaron Roberts had to say about the way they want to allow us to start the game and like the kind of far off village setup?
I think vaguely, but I'd have to hear his conversation again to really remind myself.
It was kind of like that. It was like he called it the Luke
Oh
Skywalker
yeah,
start. Yeah, where you like
yeah.
start at a town and you work your way up and then you get to go from that town into the actual city and see a spaceport, and like that would be probably one of the coolest ways to start a game, I think. And it's cool that they have that ability, but it's hard to see them getting to that anytime soon.
Yeah. I think with the survival mechanics they have, the survival mechanics they can add, and crafting, that, if you crash land, you're not screwed, basically. You don't have to sit there and just backspace and restart all over again. You have a purpose to get out of there. And if there are reasonable cons to not hitting backspace, then the player would more likely choose basically the path of least resistance. If it's okay, I've got to basically recover. I got to survive, recover, get back to where I need to be, and then claim my ship. Then most people would choose that over just restarting all over again.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. And I mean, they talked about the fact that even they were changing. I mean, you say backspace as a way to respawn, but as a way to get yourself back up, they're talking about self revival, which is also kind of a big change if we're talking about the way people play the game, FPS and stuff. Self revival, is that something that you think could change the way that people are considering backspacing situations and whether or not it's worth even saving their ship?
I would say so. I mean, it definitely gives us an option, right? And I'm totally for being able to revive myself, especially if I have a med gun or even hemazole. But I think the biggest thing is that they still have a lot to do in the realm of medical gameplay, health insurance, basically consequences to our actions, and making it, as I mentioned before, give us less incentive to respawn and more incentive to survive.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, they're talking about refueling missions in 4.8. Sorry, I'm swinging all over the place, folks. Keep up.
Yes.
They're talking about refueling missions coming in 4.8, which is kind of like NPCs coming to help you out with stuff like that. Do you have any hopium following that kind of an announcement that they're going to start doing more kinds of things like that with NPCs?
I think so, and I think that alone will probably be a pretty solid update for sure. It will be nice because have I have probably have had that happen to me a couple of times since I've been playing with in Pyro, where I just blindly jump from, you know, one point to another, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't have enough fuel.
Yeah, I've had that quite a few times actually. You're like, oh, look, we're out here now, and we
Wait, what
can't get
happened? My
back.
quantum drive just power down? No, it's still powered on. Oh, no. Nope, I'm empty.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's definitely happened. But I think that there definitely needs to be more danger, more consequences, more ways to get out of situations that we accidentally put ourselves in. So
hmm
this might be the first step, but there is still a lot more that they'll need to do in order to make it completely worthwhile.
I mean, one of the biggest ones you mentioned earlier, quantum boost, would allow us to quantum travel in whatever direction we want almost immediately at a much
Yeah,
slower pace, but enough to outrun people if they're attacking you.
yeah. Ways to get away, and less, I would say, uh, gosh, less of a putting ourselves in a box where we have to switch between SCM or nav mode in order to get away. You know what I mean?
Stop making us switch.
Hey, for real.
Yeah, but the refueling missions are kind of interesting because it's the first time we've had NPC dependent contracts going on. Um, and I think a lot of folks, when they think of Star Citizen right now, everything is through the lens of either PvE or PvP. Are you the person who's attacking or the person who's being attacked? But a lot of folks forget that there's also NPC pirates that are supposed to attack you and try to board you. There are also NPC cargo haulers and civilian crafts that act as the targets for people who want to be pirates but not attack other players. When do you think players can start to expect things like that? Cargo haulers and actual ships flying around in space controlled by the game that aren't just like shooting you all the time.
You know, I've been wondering about that because that was on like the Crusader security or the Hearst, or the Stanton security was on the roadmap not too long ago, and they said they implemented it, but I really didn't notice much of a difference.
Security
So
around stations.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's really interesting to talk about because you, the universe, even with 700 people, still feels dead because there's no NPCs flying around. There's plenty on the ground to shoot. None that just, stand around, or none that actually do anything useful. But um, yeah, I think that I don't think that we're going to see that until like dynamic server meshing, or at least quasi dynamic server meshing.
Yeah, that, and I mean, while they're talking about that, that doesn't sound like something that's going to come in before the end of the year.
I don't think so. I think it's heavily reliant on StarSim and dynamic server meshing in some way, because why add a bunch of NPCs if it's just going to basically kill your performance altogether?
Well, I mean, they have all the NPCs, right? They just spend
Yeah.
all their time cowering.
True.
That's
They don't
it.
have any meaningful like decision-making skills, essentially.
Besides deciding which weird line they'd like to repeat at me in the middle of combat again. Is it going to be about how I
Yeah.
killed their cousin or about how they're going to kill my dog and family? Find out next time on Covering Fire. These guys, I swear, because I just been running so many repeated Onyx missions to try and get these blueprints that it's just constant with these guys. The same 5 voice lines that you're fighting against, and they're all seeming to come from like the same couple of blocks in England, like a couple of the same town, the same parish. I would love just love a little bit more diversity in the guys that I'm fighting. And I don't even mean like I just mean like personality wise. Come on now.
You figured it out. They're all neighbors. They live right down the road from one another.
They're all collaborating. It's why we keep killing their cousins, because they're just really close.
They just keep coming back.
The transport system is also coming in 4.8. This is quite the topic, because we're not entirely sure what the transport system's going to do. At the beginning of the long freaking legacy of the road to 4.0, we knew that they needed a transit refactor. They had to fix all their elevators and stuff. And then 4.0 comes around and they're like, hey, we can't do that right now. So they push off the transit refactor. And then a few months later, they're like, hey, the transit refactor is going to be a ton more work. So instead, we're going to call it the transport refactor. And we're going to just kind of have another team that fixes the current transit system problems. So they did all of that, and we had kind of like the mid-level elevator fixes, but the transport system was just constantly in development. Now it's finally scheduled for 4.8. What do you think it's actually going to do for people to fix like their gameplay?
I'm hoping that, judging from how many times they've talked about it and what they've said about it, that it does genuinely fix a lot of the issues with the trams and the elevators. I don't think we have a good enough baseline to really tell if it's going to actually do that, but
Yeah.
I could reference like where we used freight elevators a lot during, what was it, Race for Stanton. And in Alliance 8, I didn't have them near as many times as I did in Race for Stanton. So some of their work ended up paying off, at least to the point where they were able to keep up and keep fixing the issues when they came up in patches.
That's good. That's good.
But
I mean, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they definitely do break more often than we would hope.
Yeah, it is it's a patience testing simulation for sure. I had a friend actually who got killed by an elevator the other day. That's such a funny sentence. I hadn't heard of it for a long time, and he said that, and I was just like, oh boy, don't start again. Come on, Star Citizen. So I do hope that this fixes not just the problems that we have with all our elevators, but biggest amongst them being the like hangar system, the freight elevator system. I'm also really, really hopeful that this allows them to start letting us bring vehicles up on elevators, like they talked about 4, 5, 7, 10 years ago. I don't know.
Well, there's some that you're able to, but yeah, as far as majority of them, you can't.
Yeah.
I definitely haven't gotten killed by an elevator in a long time. I think early 4.0 is when I fell out of an elevator, but I didn't get killed by one. So I was kind of stuck in the station. I'm like, okay, well, backspace. But
yeah,
I think it might come down to just like how quickly they jump in the elevator. Everybody else who's been playing for a long time is just like, I'm going to wait like a couple seconds and then I'm going to slowly walk in.
right.
But I'm hoping that basically this refactor makes it just a thing of the past. And it's one of those things that all of us just sit there like, I remember when the elevator killed me, or I remember when I couldn't even lower the elevator. And everyone's just like, what are you talking about, dude? You're crazy.
It'll be great when we don't have to talk about elevators anymore.
Yeah.
Never been a topic in any game I've played, so it'll be nice to return to that norm.
For real.
Okay, here's an interesting thing that's scheduled for 4.8. The command module. It's basically being listed as its own vehicle at this point. CIG is making this command module that controls the Caterpillar or the Drake, Ironclad, but it also can be removed and fly separately. It can land separately, quantum travel separately. It has its own life support. It can redock to the main part of these ships. It's like two ships in one, almost, the Ironclad or the Caterpillar. What do you think of this coming out in 4.8? Because the way that they've like talked about it has really built it up as being a big development, almost like modularity was to them. The command module seems very important. What's your take on it?
I really do think that it's just primarily, I could see it as being the beginning work for kind of like almost having control of a ship when you have a parasite ship. For example, like what if you take your Merlin and go fly, what are you going to be able to do with your constellation? Are you going to be able to send it somewhere? Like what? What I think it largely is just basically the functionality for the Caterpillar and the Ironclad to be more useful to where you can leave them out in space and then go down to a planet and then come right back up. I that's kind of what I see it as, really. At least
Like
right
a
now.
runabout, almost.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you want to just keep your mobile base of operations in an Ironclad or an Ironclad assault, you can just take that little shuttle, basically, down to the planet, do your missions, and then go right back up.
Yeah. I feel like I can almost fancy myself being like a the quote unquote shadow broker, flying around your Ironclad, and you just like use your command module to fly down for a little artifact to delivery down in the city. Yeah, my ship's up in orbit.
But I think for that to be really useful, though, they need to actually. There's a few things that are needed. Obviously, being able to log out and log back in exactly where we logged out, and continue our session, continue our mission. More persistence, I guess, is needed in order for us to have a purpose to stay out in the in space or wherever we're at and just continue to do the same mission that we were just doing before, or pick up where we left off and not relog into a landing zone every single time or a space station.
Yeah, I was originally kind of turned off from the idea of logging off anywhere. I do believe in it, but I think there's got to be some kind of physical representation that somebody logged off in a space, right? Because how do you stop people from like hiding on a ship?
Well, that's fair. Yeah, like I would say that when it comes down to hiding on someone's ship who's not yours, you should just basically be, I don't know, you be repositioned somewhere nearby or
But even
whatever.
if
I
it
definitely
is,
don't think you should.
sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but even if you were able to log out on someone's ship, you should not relog back into the same ship. But go ahead, say what you were saying. Sorry.
Well, no, even if it's your ship, wouldn't it still be kind of a, I don't know, wouldn't it be a little unfair if you were boarding somebody's ship and you're fighting your way through the hallways and you turn a corner and suddenly like 5 people spawn in front of you because they had logged out right there?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't. How do MMOs generally handle that?
That's honestly a question that I think they're gonna have to come up with a solution for. I don't really, honestly, I don't think I've ever sat there and thought about it to think about an actual solution to see. Because yeah, if you board onto an Idris with your whole team, and this Idris is alone because one guy is just like hanging out, their entire org just logs in because they all logged out there. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah, that
all
would
right. Well, that's kind of crappy.
suck. Yeah, or the flip side, you you get people to regularly log out on board your Pisces, and then you fly on board somebody else's Idris, and you tell everyone, okay, log in every 10 seconds, and you just file out of the Pisces. Kind of, it's interesting, and that's why I thought they were originally tying it to the beds, and then I was thinking, well, to get away from that, you could just, they could tell you have to carry around like a bedroll, and in order to log out, you have to go to sleep wherever you are. But they don't really talk about that kind of thing. So I am wondering, we should have persistence and we should be able to continue things where we leave off. But what is, how do you handle that?
I would say if there is a way for them to differentiate if someone's in combat or not, that would probably be the way to control it, to where if someone's in combat, you can't log in a general vicinity of their ship just because you logged out in it or around it even. So if they get in combat and they're alone, I think they would largely be alone by themselves and have to fight that out or run away. I think that's how that would be fair.
Whatever does end up being the way it is long term, I think it's that's gonna be like the deciding factor of battles, is how people handle that kind of thing. Because I know that when it comes to online or offline raiding, it's like really dependent on when people can jump back in to defend themselves when you're in like a low security system.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would definitely be a problem if people could just log off and then log back in the second they see there's a raid happening right now. But yeah, I think there might be a method they could do that with, basically just preventing people from logging into that area specifically if the person's in combat.
Something else that we've been kind of dancing around a little bit, but it's very, it's a big topic with 4.7 and probably with 4.8 coming up after it, is player trading. It's going to become really, really, really important for players to be able to know other players who do things and be able to communicate with those other players, because nobody is expected to do everything in this game. Nobody's going to like everything there is to do in this game. And at some point, you're going to have to like buy high quality material from somebody else. But we have a lot of things missing between us and that reality, huh?
Absolutely.
What do you think? I mean, we talked about social tools a little bit today. What do you think? How are players going to be able to handle this stuff in the foreseeable future? Do you think CIG has something they're working on that they haven't really told us about, or are we just kind of out of luck?
I'm really hoping that we're not out of luck. I'm really hoping that they plan to implement player trading and moreover, the social tools that we desperately need, so players can group up better and look for groups or assign roles. I don't know. That if they don't have anything for us this year as far as like social tools or player trading, I think player trading alone right now is going to be immensely important as we get deeper into crafting, because people will just resort to using the UEX website. And I don't know about you, but personally, I'm very much against that, because I think everything should be done in game, and there should be methods where it prevents either party from getting screwed over. So if they don't have a way to kind of foster a good method of trading, then people are just going to resort to using a third-party website, which they don't have control over. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, would you say people shouldn't do any trading rather than use a third party source?
I won't say they shouldn't, but I would say you're definitely putting yourself at risk. You
That's
have the
true.
potential to put yourself at risk, I would say.
Yeah.
But there isn't, gosh, it's insane to me that I can think that they have a way for us to transfer credits, but they don't have any way for us to just like open up a trade window and basically just like hand over an item.
It's no ownership system.
Yeah.
You still can't, I believe you still can't take somebody else's, like something that they've given you and then turn it in and reliably know it'll still be yours. Or you can't take like somebody else's refinery job and steal the materials because it'll be marked as stolen. It's actually, those are like, that's one of those things along with the social tools. that at this point it feels broken. You know, it feels like we have to move past that in the next couple updates.
Yeah, player ownership has to matter in some way. And I am surprised in a lot of ways where we got crafting, but we didn't get any more advancements in item recovery. It just kind of stayed where it's at. So like all these people are crafting all these cool things, and if you have them on your person, then they can't be stolen. So what's the point of engaging in, I guess, giving pirates a reason to do piracy style gameplay? And like there's no purpose, really. There's
Not
no
even
purpose to pirate anyone.
not even just pirating though, scavenging. My
Or that.
my ideal way of getting materials is going out and finding things and then breaking them down for other materials. But it's very much hurt by the fact that anything you find right now is going to be 500 level quality.
Yeah, that was the other thing too, like where we could have a purpose to do salvaging and to earn all these high tier items or whatever, and basically dismantle them. But like I remember when they first implemented salvaging, and we were able to just salvage all of the weapons, all of the components, and then sell them. And then, well, basically they're just like, well, now you're not able to sell them for much.
You
So
made
it
too
just
much money.
Yeah. Or they took away a lot of the really nice components on like the really nice ships. And you're just like, well, there's no point in salvaging any components then. Like there's literally no point because they're all just stock.
Yeah. And again, it wouldn't really be much of a problem if you could easily trade with other people, the stuff that's being made. But like you said, item recovery wasn't even mentioned. I actually did think that with crafting, they would be like, okay, crafting is here. So item recovery is making a step up in the next update. So get ready, full loot's coming back, but they haven't talked about it yet.
No. And then I know that they had their post on like the future of crafting and whatnot, and they had, I think, item recovery in that at some point, but we don't really know if we're going to see this over the course of the next few months, it continually be added to, or if it's just going to like, we're tier 0 until, the foreseeable future, whenever that is.
Yeah. Oh man, I hope not. I don't think we can afford to do that. Like the crafting is good. It is a very, very good catalyst for activity. You said in the beginning of this podcast that there are a lot more people active. I've never seen more people online in the launch week of an update than this. Because if an update was big enough to be this hyped, then it had a catastrophic launch week, right? 4.0, 3.18, all of the big ones with like big tech that changed things didn't have a lot of that preview channel help to make sure it launched okay. And while this one had some problems, there were people all over the place for this opening week on this patch. And I think that's going to wear off within like a month or two if they don't keep adding on to the blueprints available, how you can get them, how we can find them, the fact that you still can't look them up in game without downloading somebody's voice pack or going to a website. It's just it's those things that are definitely going to still put a hold on people enjoying the pretty nice evolution the game's going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we do see ship components and ship weapons start to be added, 4.9, I think that still would be a good amount of progress to be made.
Yeah.
But they have to add blueprints every single patch, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But I think the biggest thing is like they've got missions that we can earn blueprints for. There's no way to track the blueprints. There's no way to track like what missions give what. There's no point in engaging in any meaningful reputation aside from the fact that you have to get to a certain level to earn certain blueprints.
Mm-hmm.
But like, where's I don't know. There could be more for reputation rewards than just
absolutely
do this mission and get this blueprint type thing.
And if you go back to how they talked about reputation back in like 2023 CitizenCon, they were very adamant that they were going to start turning towards reputation driving, your mission availability and your ability to access space stations and which shops you could use, which missions all that kind of stuff. Do you think that they kind of took a step back and they were like, maybe we should get the underlying elements in, like the reward structure, the mission system that can actually give them the crafting system before they start on the reputation?
I really think it's pretty much the product of needing so many different things that they want to get it in, but they don't want to like throw it in there and then have it be missing other things. Like Reputation V2 is super dependent on Mission System V2, and all of this is more dependent on like at item recovery V1 or even item recovery V2. Um, there's so many things that they all need together in order for them to be worthwhile to basically add. So I think that's what they're pretty much running into is like, well, we could add this, but it really would be pointless until this is in, and this
Mhm.
would be pointless until this thing is in. So it's kind of like it's a cascading problem that just keeps continuing
Yeah.
until they all get all of them together. We're like, all right, let's just release all of these.
It does feel like they're starting to trickle out. The conversations we're
Yeah.
having now are wildly different from the ones before 4.0 is the most noticeable thing. Like even now when they're talking about Starware, it's the same conversation they were having all the way back at 2019 CitizenCon, armor archetypes, how they wanted to split up all the armors and the temperature resistance and all that stuff. But now we're literally looking at the actual armors going into the game, right? The flight suits that were added last year are going to have the G-force resistances coming up here. And it's nice to have the more tangible progress, even if they are still just kind of slowly falling into place and falling into place kind of unfinished still. Like crafting is, it's rough, guys. It's rough. It's fun, but it's rough.
I feel like I have an IV in my arm and I'm just being drip fed. And I'm like, give me more. Come on. I
How they
need
get you.
more.
That's how they get you, dude. It's the carrots.
Yeah.
What do you? I'm kind of wanted to turn back to Starware a little bit because it is a really big moment for the game in letting you customize yourself so your stuff makes sense to what your play style, but also in letting people actually pick roles. Like one of my core, I don't know, 10 commandments of Star Citizen is that thou shalt not like all game loops, right? Like this game will fail if everybody likes everything. I think I said it earlier. They have to make all gameplay deep enough and not pivotal but polarizing enough that you actually feel the need to go and put a beacon out to ask for somebody else's services, because you might be the cargo hauler, but you're not going to be the escort pilot. You might be the escort pilot, but you're not going down into the cave to mine the stuff. And that's what this armor system is doing, right? Do you think this is a full-fledged MMO-ification of Star Citizen?
I think that they're going into the realm of where they want to make this as an MMO where not only will hardcore players want to play it, but also casual players, but not so MMO that it completely takes away from, I'd say, the spirit of the game and what Star Citizen is all about. So on paper, they're doing it in a way that is going to be meaningful, I think. So I think I would rather see it be an MMO than just what it used to be all about.
And what was that?
Primarily just a space sim that has a various assortment of gameplay loops. Now we have, I guess, a meaningful gear progression, but it's also missing other things like there's ship progression that we could do. There's reputation progression that they could make it worthwhile. There's all sorts of different like ways that we can progress through the game that still need a lot of work. Gear progression is getting further along with that, but it definitely is missing the ship progression is just not there, obviously.
Right. Do you feel like they weren't working in that direction before with Star Citizen?
No, not really. It didn't really seem like there was any meaningful progression system outside of like earn more reputation, get access to higher paying contracts, I
Hmm.
guess.
And what would you say would be the end game of a game like Star Citizen with the systems that we're seeing being built?
I would say that the tactical strike groups is probably one of those things that is starting to paint a picture of what endgame could look like. Big, huge, massive group and org style of combat, I guess, or even like events or activities or stuff like that. But I definitely think that Star Citizen needs a method where they have more focus on solo players, group players, and giant orgs altogether. But
Hmm.
it's definitely one of those things that like they have to give, I would say, solo players a reason to log in every day and play. I don't know if that's like daily missions that are varying enough that make it interesting, but there's definitely a lot still missing from the game as it stands now to really keep bringing more people back or have people log in every single day.
I think that's a really good point. A lot of people are attracted to the systems oriented design of a space sim and that sort of consequence and experimentation of the sandbox. But a lot of folks, myself included, to be quite honest, are looking for something to progress through as well. And
Yeah.
moving this more towards a situation where you can progress in different avenues from ships to armor to the cosmetics that you like, to even the tools and the skins on the stuff that you use is a much better. I mean, I think you put it perfectly. It's a much better reason to log in.
Yeah.
There's plenty of reasons to play, but something I've heard a lot of people say is it's easy to log into Star Citizen and then sit there and be like, what do I do? Even if you're not a newcomer, I mean, the game doesn't tell you what to do as a newcomer, but even as a veteran, you will get into the game and be like, well, I mean, there's this new thing, but that's kind of like, it might be broken right now. So I don't know if I really want to try it. Like when you get in further into this stuff, it doesn't matter if a dungeon's broken because you still get stuff out of it. Not excusing the brokenness. Just like, that's a really good point you made.
I think what the game really misses out on is a way to connect systems together, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
In that you can kind of just get lost in the Moby Glass and like, okay, well, I take this contract, but what's the point of taking this contract and then working my way all the way up to rep 6? What does it give me? Like, it doesn't effectively communicate why someone would want to work towards specific things or different things.
Yeah.
Like rep, just kind of like when you click on the rep, it just tells you like you get 10% increase on the payouts, 10% increase on the payouts. Like what else? Like
Yay. You
I
get
don't care
10
about
script.
money. Give me stuff.
Yay, scrap.
It isn't, there is no guiding to it, I guess would say.
Yeah.
It's very much like hands off in more ways than one. And it's, I would argue, probably a steeper cliff than Eve.
Yeah, well, I mean, Eve's had plenty of time to figure out at least how to get people to enjoy the
Yeah.
game. Star Citizen is the it's the most amazing game that you can't figure out how to show you it's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
Like people are having the most wildly different experiences. Somebody be like, "Oh my god, it was the coolest gaming experience ever. It's crazy. You can't do this anywhere else." And somebody else is like, "I couldn't get out of the bed, dude." Like
Yeah.
it's just it's wildly inconsistent and it does not make it easy for you to appreciate the game until you can get outside and look at a sunset or something.
Yeah. It is. The fact that they had to add a guide program to the game is very indicative of the fact that the game
And it's on the
doesn't
website. God.
it doesn't hold your hand. It just pushes you off a cliff and tells you to figure it out.
Yeah. And then you have to go to the freaking website to do it. So you need a guide in the game to tell you how to find the guide system. That blows my mind, but I am glad they're working on it more now.
It's like a mission giver saying, "Hey, take my mission, find me, and I'll give you the other mission." And you're like, "Where the hell is this guy? Where's he at?" I'm like, oh, dude, of course there's a 13-year-old veteran that's just like, or 13-year veteran that's just like, "Hey, brother, he's a Grimhex." And you're like, "How would I know that?" He's like, "Well, that's just where he is."
And you're like, well, duh, didn't you go and read down that third journal entry that never told you to go and open it for this? Don't you know game design, dude?
I'm sorry. Of all the things I will probably complain about the most, the journal app as it stands is the worst thought of system.
I could do you one better, dude. I can do you one better.
All right, let's go.
The Assets app. The one that started out as
that never works every patch?
Yes. The one that it's the directory that's meant to help you find your stuff, okay? But there's no search bar.
Nope.
So you just got to know what outpost on what planet in what star system your helmet is on. I can't, dude. I'm sorry, guys. Honestly, the systems that are being implemented now feel like the foundations of stuff that's really good. And I was saying that freaking 2 years ago because we were still getting salvage and stuff. But it's kind of in the same vein. Like salvage was a systemic change for people to do something new in the game. Crafting kind of acts the same way in that it sets the stage for that. And it's nice to be in this period of time, this transition into an MMO. I'd like to wrap up today's show by putting you on the spot a little bit, asking for your biggest predictions. This is something that we have all the podcast guests give us input on. Yeah, so we get to track you down next time, hold you accountable.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
I've made a lot of those predictions in the past that have just not happened.
Oh, it's good stuff, dude. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Star Citizen is one to tell you something's going to happen, set all the stage, make you feel the real hope, and then 2 weeks out, not happening. Next patch. Sorry about it.
Yep.
So what do you think?
Against what many people out there think, I think that Squadron 42 is going to happen this year. I think that there is no way that they will allow it to not happen. Otherwise, it will just be a massive failure. But, anything can happen. So I'm looking forward to Squadron 42. But as far as like Star Citizen releases,
give me something hot.
I'm hoping for base building. Obviously, the extra small, base building set. So I guess that's version 0.
Okay. I don't think you're alone on that one, to be quite honest. I think somebody else had guessed that as well. We will see. I like the sound of it. Yeah. I hope it happens because boy, oh boy. I think base building, we're talking all about this idea of like reasons to log on. Once you can make a base out there somewhere, yeah, it's going to be nice. But that's where all the persistence comes in. So hopefully they can get that figured out this year.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Persistence is probably the most important thing because they talk about it a lot.
Yeah. And it's got to be something that keeps people away, right? As soon as you do something and earn something cool, if you lose it, why would you want to play again? Like as a casual player, I would drop a game.
I'm dreading any future updates as far as like crafting is concerned, and it randomly assigning a different quality to what I crafted. So that is going to be a huge problem if I find something that's like 950 and it's just like, well, it's now 800. And I'm like,
yeah, dude.
So, all right, cool.
I think a big thing that I did forget to bring up here is that with this MMOification of Star Citizen and it becoming more about character progression and your player and the stuff you're collecting, obviously, then the persistence matters and the ability to actually save that progression matters. So very, very, very quickly, you could say it was already the biggest issue they needed to address, but persistence is now like the number one thing they need to wrap their heads around. And I think Benoit gets that. He seems to be emphasizing it enough, but I hope that they have something to say in the next like month, because I am with you, dude. Now that we've got stuff that we care about, I do not want to see a big wipe. That's at least unexpected.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna hurt a lot, for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much for joining me for this talk. It was a fantastic. This is a good little journey of where Star Citizen is right now. Do you have any final thoughts that you wanted to share about stuff that's coming up or anything that's going on?
No, I don't think so. I think of all the things I'm looking forward to this year, tactical strike groups is probably right up there at the top. I think that's gonna be really cool to see, and it'll probably be the first really space-centered activity that we've ever been able to do. So I think it's gonna be great. And I'm looking forward to that. Especially the hangar refueling and repairing. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be freaking great.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing. Gotcha, guys. I got one more thing. I do want to follow back up. I asked you at the beginning of this podcast about your favorite characters in a game, and you said Mass Effect. After all this talk of the importance of these different things in Star Citizen that are coming along, do you think that Star Citizen will have characters, obviously, that can't match Mass Effect, but that can actually draw people into the MMO to care about what they're kind of doing through all this progression?
I really hope so. I think that they have the potential to, because I remember back in the day dealing with only a voiced character, Tessa Bannister, and everyone always talks about her, always wants to know more.
God.
They have the ability to write really engaging and amazing characters. So I'm hoping that they lean into that in some way with like the story-driven missions or the like locational stories that they keep talking about. So yeah, if they lean into character building and development and a good overall story of the verse, then I think they have a lot of potential.
I hope so. I think that's like the one thing that it's really okay. Not the one thing. That's one of the things that it's really missing from like the mission front of stuff. All right, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me, folks. Thanks for listening and or watching on YouTube if you are. If you don't want to use YouTube, we are on all audio platforms, so you can get us up on your morning commute, over on your morning walk, whenever the baby is trying to get you up and busy and you need something to listen to. Let us join you. We're here every week talking about what's going on in Star Citizen, what's coming up, and, other space games. We like to talk about the occasional space RPG, No Man's Sky, the release here and there. New guest every week. New fun all the time. Make sure to also check out Citizen Central, other podcast, our roundtable. And I'll see you guys all next week in the next one.